right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
What's up? We're back.
Yes, indeed, man.
Took a week off because I was just lazy.
Hey, man, it's the best kind of week to have off, man.
I'm Jared, by the way.
I'm Josh. Good
What's
to be here,
up?
brother. Thank you, man.
What's going on?
Not a whole heck of a lot, man.
Yeah, man. Man, A Star Is Born.
Yeah, man. I had to go watch A Star Is Born because Lady Gaga's in it, and that's
I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
literally the long and the short of it. Not much of a review because spoilers and things like that. It's pretty much what you expect, except that, well, I shouldn't say except. I mean, it's just fantastic. The singing's very, very good from both sides, like you expect from her. It might be a surprise from him. I didn't know he could sing.
That's
So
really one of the things that makes you hate this guy even more. I mean, he already looks the way he looks. He's been pretty funny in most of the things I've seen him in, and he gets to sing the way he sings. Like, man, just kill him.
Yeah, man, seriously. It's the overpowered villain. We talk about it a lot, man. Actors that sing, too. You had Jared Leto, say his name wrong all the time. And then Childish Earn, I'm sorry for you, Glover, comes along and kills him.
Yeah.
And now Bradley Cooper's in the race. So it's like, man, y'all all just stink. But anyhow, man, I didn't know he could sing, so I was really pleased with I thought he did really good. Lady Gaga, I knew could sing.
Yeah.
Didn't know she could act. So it was like, well, this is just real kind of cool, man. It gets relatively bleak at the end, but again, I think everybody kind of expects that. But I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it, man. I've already seen it a couple of times actually, because anything that I see that I like, I will go watch again. And it's dumb to do that in the theater, but it's okay. The theater up the street has pretty good deals during the day, and so it wasn't. And also, I had like a gift card left over, so that worked out well too. But
There hasn't been really much of anything that I've felt the need to go see in several months. So when you go through a stretch like that, going seeing something like that you know you're gonna like a few times, isn't that big of a deal.
I don't remember the last thing that I saw. Honest to God, the last thing I saw.
For me, it had to be Infinity War.
That's what I was sitting here thinking too. I think it was Infinity War, man. Because I'm with you. It's like just going to the movies is a lot of fun, but it's not something that I put on the calendar all the time.
I want to see Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, Pooh Bear.
But that's been a minute.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, it was.
So, but I've never seen any of the versions of A Star Is Born, and when you hear that that's what's getting remade, you're kind of like, why? Why now? Why now?
Yeah.
But when you see it get kind of modernized, and that may not have anything to do with any of the previous versions, just other than, well, this is a title that people will recognize, and but even the Judy Garland one was a remake. I didn't know that until I got to talking about the movie. The very first one it predates that. And I haven't seen the Judy Garland one.
Me neither.
Haven't seen the Streisand one, and
Me neither.
I haven't seen this one yet. But this is the one that's, of all of them, this one looks like the most interesting to me, which to me makes it a good update.
It's the thing, like you're talking about, but it goes back to what I said a moment ago, but it really is true. I haven't seen either of the other two either, because the story I don't care about. It's just like, because going back to like, why are you guys remaking this? I remember seeing the cardboard cutout, Bradley Cooper strumming the guitar, and Gaga kind of sitting there looking at him and kissing him a little bit or whatever, and it says Bradley Cooper, it says Lady Gaga, and I'm like, cool, don't care about the rest. Oh, Star Is Born, okay. But yeah, it's like, as soon as I saw she was in it, that's all I cared about, and it was awesome, because I like her. I think she's great, and the movie definitely adds exclamation points to that. It's definitely cool. If you have any interest in it at all, I'd be really. I don't think it'll disappoint you. I don't think there's anybody that's interested in it that'll be disappointed. There might be a few people that don't care that go watch it and that are surprised by it. That seems more likely. But it was cool, man. Like I said, it just gets. It gets kind of not rough at the end, because rough is relative. It depends on what kind of movies you normally like. If you like the Stone Cold Bummers like I do, it's par for the course, and that's okay, because I love that kind of stuff. I don't know why, but I love that kind of stuff.
It's one of those weird kind of movies to where I guess you would classify it as a musical, but most of the musicals have the Broadway play to go along with it, and I don't think this one ever did. Well, it makes it kind of tough for me to relate to, where it's kind of, I might could recognize a few songs from some of the versions, but for the most part, I don't know much of what's going on with it. So I think that's where I got kind of hung up on, like, why are you going to remake that? And you're like, okay, that's we just kind of using the title and the basic idea, and it's not necessarily a one-for-one translation of
man.
a remake. So like, I'm excited to check it out, and
Hell yeah.
the people that you have in it's like that doesn't hurt anything.
It does not. It's cool. You'll dig it, man. I think you will dig it. I'd be surprised if it lets you down.
No, and she has. I'm fairly certain that she did win a Golden Globe for American Horror Story
Probably.
a few years ago, and everybody's talking about the whole, well, is it going to get nominated kind of talk? It's because it's that time of year, and who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I would be honestly shocked if she wasn't nominated. And again, that's when we discuss Oscars, I think that both of us are very much in the same mind that we're talking about nominations. I ain't telling you who's going to win. Winning is way political and way about wins of what's going on the week of the award show.
Yeah, even down to it.
Yeah, not trying to predict winners. Sometimes you can. Usually you can't. But nominations are fun to discuss.
Yeah.
And the first conversation I had with somebody about that was the question was like, Oscar noms? And I'm like, yeah, for her, definitely. I would not be surprised at all. And for Bradley Cooper, from a work standpoint, sure.
Yeah.
But the stone cold bummer about the self-destructive alcoholic, sometimes that helps you, sometimes it doesn't. So it's just going to have to be a wait and see thing for him.
I think for him, if he doesn't get the Best Actor nomination, then they could probably get him in because he directed it.
I think so. I think you're
that
right.
might be more the more likely
I
nomination.
think you're right, because we talked about it earlier. Remember, whenever you have like the crossover appeal of having a famous pop star nominated for Best Actress or a famous actor nominated for Best Director, that's good stuff. It's good TV. They like that kind of stuff. It's crossover, gets the name out there, gets more people talking. All that stuff is cool.
Yeah.
And like it's La La Land in the sense that all the song stuff is happening. Like that was a fun game to play watching it again. It's like spot the song that will get the Oscar nomination, because there's several really good ones. Shallow is probably the one.
That's the one you hear on the preview, isn't it?
I think so. I'd have to watch it, because it depends on. I think one of the previews is actually, I don't know.
When I heard the trailer, I thought I could have swore that's what they were singing.
Well, if it's let me run this by you. If it's both of them singing, probably, because that's why I think that one would be the nominee, because it's the one that it's the big build for the movie, which is nice. But then they also perform it together.
He gets her out on stage.
That's it. Yeah, man. Because there's the other like big one at the very, very end, but that's like actually not even in the movie. It was just at the end. And then there's the one that she closes out, and I don't want to ruin that one, because when you see it in the movie, it's like, oh, that's pretty neat the way it's. But yeah, that's the one I'm thinking. It was fun though to be like, okay, maybe this one. I don't know, that's good, but I don't know. Oh yeah, because the one that he does by himself, like the Old Ways or whatever it's called, that one's really cool. And then she's got a couple that she does alone that are kind of cool. But most of the stuff that she does alone is like her career goes in a different path, and it's all dancey, almost more like Lady Gaga. And in some cases, whenever you hear the rumor that like, yeah, Beyonce was supposed to play that part, it's like, oh, that part of the story would have made sense, because it's like it just the big pop star thing on SNL and stuff like that. And also, good for you, Alec Baldwin, for getting your whatever 170 million, whatever it is that you get, because he shows up and it's literally they're doing like the SNL season finale, and Alec Baldwin is hosting. And his entire part is he walks out and he says, once again, that's it. And I'm like, man, good for you, buddy.
Okay.
I'm off to do my game show on ABC now. Leave me alone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. My planet needs me. And just lift Alec out of the frame.
Yep. But that's, one of those that I'm looking forward to. I'll have to check it out sooner or later. But talking about the musicals and the musical movies coming, one of the ones that's getting kind of overshadowed is I've seen all the talk about the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody movie. Rocket Man had got totally overlooked.
It
for me.
sure did.
And I saw a trailer for it, and I was thinking that what they were saying was it was coming out like right after. It's like, please don't do that. That's a terrible idea. That's the same audience that you're going after with those movies.
I had an even worse interpretation. I thought that the impression that I got was that when we saw Star Is Born, and they're both on it. And unfortunately, my buddy Danielle and I watched Star Is Born together, and we had the same take of like, why would you put the Rocket Man preview after Queen? First of all, don't put any previews after the Queen preview. Those things are amazing.
That closed the show.
Absolutely, Queen's the headliner. But honest to God, it seemed to me like you're talking about, man, they're just overshadowing this. It felt to me like
one was Thanksgiving, like one's Christmas. Like, don't do that,
dude. The thing said summer, and I'm like, if they're going to try and jam this thing out before Freddie comes, but I was just ridiculous on my timeline. And I think that what it's saying is that it's like next summer, which is exactly fine. I'm totally with you. But if you hit the holiday high marks, you are going to and I love Elton John. I would love to see that movie, but I'm totally with you. Right on top of each other, that's a terrible idea. I was telling Jared, I thought it would have been cool to hold the Rocket Man preview until November when Queen comes out. That'd have been neat.
Yeah.
But it's just the impression I get from Elton is Elton. You know what? That's not fair. I was going to say Elton seems. There's just the one thing in it that seems kind of across the universe, but across the universe being like a complete like fantasy musical with Beatles songs in it. That's not really the impression, but it just seems like a midpoint between the two. But yeah, there are certain things in those previews that look like the exact same shot, and it's like, dadgummit. But I'm with you. I love if it's coming out like summer 19. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. I can get myself back up for being excited and watching that because I like Elton. Musically, I don't know. Elton or Queen would be kind of hard musically because I like them both, but I don't know. I'd have to think about that. For the movies, no doubt, I am more excited for Queen. No doubt, just because they said they were doing the Queen movie, and I, like the rest of the world, heard Sacha Baron Cohen, and then I heard he wasn't doing it, and I got more excited when I found out he wasn't doing it because I don't hate the guy, but I don't really like him either. And it's like, okay. And then when you see Rami Malek, it's like, sweet God, this is amazing.
Even when they were talking about him doing it, it's like, y'all, he's not that young. I know makeup can do a lot for people, but it's just something about it just didn't sound. It sounded good, but it's not all the way there.
It sounded made up to me, and I could be totally wrong. It might be real, but the impression I got was no, Jim Carrey's going to play Andy Kaufman. Jim Carrey's going to do it, and it just seems like whenever you have like the funny guy who's known for funny stuff, and you come across with this, oh man, it's going to be a story about Freddie Mercury's life, and it's going to be a drama. And Sacha Baron Cohen's going to play it. People always get really excited when comedy actors do things that aren't comedies. That's the impression that I got from that. And Man on the Moon's probably not the best example because he's done like super dramas, but still, I'm with you. That one just never felt real to me, and I'm glad it's not because holy crap, does that thing look awesome? And it's interesting they built a time machine to go back and get the guys from Queen when they were young to play themselves in the movie.
I got overlooked completely.
It tells you.
As good as they got Freddie's, like, have y'all looked at Brian and the other guys? Like, come on.
It's the Roger Taylor is him. Like I was going to say, I think it's the best endorsement you can give Rami Malek that clearly they perfected time travel and went and got the other members of Queen to play themselves, but they let Freddie rest. They didn't bring him back from the past. Like, no, we got this kid. So if he's more Freddie Mercury than Freddie Mercury himself, that's not bad.
Good on you.
Yeah, man. But yeah, the Roger Taylor Galileo scene is like, I can't believe that's not that guy. That is weird, man.
Yeah.
And there's the shot of the Deacon John, particularly it's the like Live Aid stuff, which is later on. He's got the bass all jacked up in the little perm, and it's like, hey, this is unbelievable, man. All four of these guys, this is great. I can't wait. Obviously, I'm very excited, and I can't wait. And apparently, if your movie's not about music, I'm not going to go see it because I'm with you. It's been a long time since I've seen anything at the theater. I should probably think longer about that, but I honestly don't remember going to the theater to see anything between those two. That's crazy now, but it's cool, man. Good season's coming up, and I hope there's one movie theater real close to where I live, and there's two more in Noonan. One of the Noonan ones actually, they'll get a little bit deep sometimes and run different stuff, and then award season always opens it up, and you get like they brought Get Out back to the theater up the road, and I don't remember what the other one was. There was something they put in there for like 3 days, but I couldn't believe that it was there, and I screwed up and didn't go watch it because I'm an idiot. But it'll come back to me. I don't remember what it was now.
I think I know the theater in Douglasville. I think around that time got Lady Bird.
Yeah,
that was one of those that was tough to get around here. Movies like that, don't always come to the hometown.
Oh yeah,
But,
yeah. They
you know,
gotta.
you have to branch out to find them.
They got to be nominated for something first. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the spot like between Terra and Midtown Art. If you're willing to go to the city, you can watch pretty much anything you want to, but it's not always the easiest thing to do. Terra's great if you don't mind taking the bus. I mean, it's just driving over there's a pain in the butt. I shouldn't say that, but it really is. It's like, man, just go to the bus station and let Marta take you there. It's real easy then. Yeah, it might have been Lady Bird. I think my thing with Lady Bird is by the time I finally got to where I could go watch it, it was like a week away from Redbox. So I just went and paid the $1 and watched it and loved it. Loved that movie. I actually bought a copy of that one because that's one of my DVD, not Blu-rays. Because Blu-ray I don't need for everything, and especially when they first come out and you save like $10. Yeah, I'll keep the money, man.
It's a big swing.
It adds up when you buy a lot of movies, and unfortunately, I do. Maybe not a lot, but I still buy enough to where $10 a shot counts.
Yeah.
Totally with you, man. It does seem like that's what it was. I'm glad you said that, man. But yeah, that kind of thing. When a movie gets real big and buzzy and stuff like that, every once in a while, the hometown theater will bust those suckers out, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have yourself a good time.
Yeah.
Teetered uncontrollably.
Man, well, one of the things I did that was, doesn't nobody will care about, but I've had a fun time,
Hey, man.
is they had an open house for the State Farm Arena, which was what it's known as now. It was Phillips Arena, the field. Now it's State Farm Arena. The Jake is what, I don't know if that's the official nickname, but it is as far as I'm concerned. If it takes off, then, you heard it right here. And so it went down, and really what they've done was they made it the way it should have been made in the first place. Is the Phillips Arena opened up, I want to say 2001-ish, maybe 2000, 2001. And it was in that time period when they built it in the spot where the Omni was back in the day, and just built a new kick-ass building. And the whole one side of the court, if you will, was the whole press box, the luxury box thing that was, still popular, but definitely popular at the time. And I sat there, and I'm sure they got used, but I think eventually they got to looking like, man, that's a lot of seating space we're kind of missing out on. That people could come watch these games. We might could actually get this place full. And that's what the remodel was. It just kind of took those out, and it's just it's going to be what it should have been from the get-go. And so they had the open house. They sent out these tickets to everybody that had, I guess, if you had bought a ticket for anything there in the past year or two, you were able to get a pair of tickets for free to come to this thing. It's like, well, free is fun.
Come on down.
And I'm gonna want to check it out eventually anyway. And on top of that, like current and former Hawks players are gonna be there, and they know I'm a sucker for stuff like that. And I'm kind of like, hey, I could see what I could do, see what I could find.
There.
Not well. That's
okay.
That's what was kind of the thing, is like when that email got sent out, you thought, well, who could be there? 'Cause surely, I mean, it's gonna be Dominique's got to be one of them.
He'll definitely be there.
He's been part of the organization for years.
Yeah, he's still doing like the play-by-play or the color commentary. Him and Rathburn are fantastic. I was actually listening to them on the way over, man, and it's like, God, these guys are good. So yeah, Neek's the man. He's still around doing his thing.
But that was the two that I went with. I was like, okay, Dominique and surely Spud Williams, because I think he's still Spud Webb. I think he's still is relatively close to around town, so kind of like I'll dig my starting lineups of them out of the closet,
man.
Go head out and see what I can find. And sure enough, I mean, I got there, got my little program thing, and okay, Neat's going to be doing his meet and greet up on this level for this time period to this time period, and so like that's directly where I'm going to go and post up there and chill out and just hang out. And that's where everything went horribly wrong. And going to stuff like this, and that's part of the fun, because I did a video of the arena and posted it, because at first I wasn't going to, just because it kind of ticks you off when you go to something like that doesn't work out. Like, well, I'm not posting your video, but that's part of. It's just as fun to tell the stories that don't work out than the ones that do.
That's a good point.
And and that's part of going to that stuff is you go out and sometimes lines get cut off or whatever happens. It's like, sometimes you got to eat some snout, and that's what that video is all about, is eating some snout, because it didn't work out, because it makes the people that go to Access and dummies like me and the people that complain about it really need to go to events like this. You can really see what something not organized looks like.
We talk about all the time how over the top WWE is with their accessibility to their people.
Yeah.
As sports fans outside of pro wrestling, I assure you we know what we're talking about.
Oh,
this is what we're talking about.
yeah. 'Cause, I mean, it was just a total cluster from the get-go, because when you're there and you're looking out into the arena, man, it doesn't look like a big crowd. Like, man, this is going to work out, man.
Yeah,
You're going
man.
to probably get to see anybody you want to. Like, no, it didn't work out that way, because when you realize these people are all spread out in this arena, like, now they're basically all in one spot trying to see this one dude. And because they had it was on the second level of the place, and you get off and there's like a little lobby area between beer stands, and that's where the poster is. So you're kind of like, well, I guess this is where it's going to be. So everybody's kind of posting around there, just kind of waiting for the time to come up, and then you just kind of realize, like, there's no discernible line.
It's just wad, just people
Yeah,
wad.
there's no table set up. You think there'd be somebody to be there, kind of like, okay, this is where it's going to be. This is where the line's going to start. Good luck. You didn't even get that. So what happened was, it got to be about that time, and there's like a crowd of people sitting in this kind of like little lobby area, where when you look to this one wall is where all the elevators are, and you see the doors open, and you see a big, tall, 6'5"-ish, 6'6"-ish guy. You knew who it was. And I think the second that him and his handlers saw that crowd, they're kind of like, F this mess, and they darted him.
Closed door.
They got him out, and they darted him down one wall and took him to this one bar, and so the cattle herd just followed him, and it was just terrible. But nothing, I didn't see that coming.
Man.
How could you plan for that? And this little bar area just filled up so fast. It's kind of, this is crazy. And it wasn't, at that point, it's like, somebody's going to get hurt. This isn't worth it. And, kind of got out of there and like, man, forget it. I'm leaving. So,
I can dig it, man. It sounds like the mass of people following. Mm-hmm. Man, one time I was 14, this is years ago, I went to Six Flags, and I might have already told you this story. I'm sorry if I did, but I don't think I've shared it with our audience here, so I will tell you this story. I went to Six Flags, and I'm getting on it's the mind bender that I was getting on.
okay.
And this buzz starts at the front of the line, and it was like, man, Tupac's on the mind bender. Tupac's on the mind bender. And we're like, all right, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, when the car came back in, man, there was like these 4 gigantic dudes, this one gigantic dude, and these 2 gigantic dudes. And this one guy sitting there in the middle with his do-rag on backwards, and the car stops, and he waves at everybody.
Yeah.
And boy, howdy, when I tell you we got on the mind bender real quick after that, I'm not lying. But as far as like the people following, the rest of the day, man, you're in the park, if you get on the little like sky buckets, man, and you just look around the park, wherever that wall, you can find Tupac all day, man. It was
All
just
of
this huge like massive
crowd.
people, man. It's like, oh, there's Tupac.
The hive.
Yeah, it was cool, man, because it was like people were freaking out, man. Like, because then he got on with like very little fanfare, but for some reason, because I mean, obviously wasn't standing in line. They just bring you in and put you on, and then it started up because like the person's like, why do I have to wait? Then finds out, well, they have to wait, and they're like, I don't care anymore. I'm okay with it. And they start telling all of us behind them, and it was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I hate that. I feel bad that the elevator doors opened and Dominique freaked out. I would have. I feel bad that we freaked Dominique out.
Yeah, man, I don't blame him in the slightest.
Yeah,
if I saw that, I'd have been kind of like, get me out of here right now.
Can't none of y'all have nothing. Yeah, totally, man.
And I think that's kind of the gist of, even when he got to where he eventually was, and I think they got him set down behind something. I'm assuming that's what happened. I couldn't really see it. There was such a crowd of people. it just didn't feel safe, and I don't think it started late. I think it was scheduled for one time. I think he showed up about 20 minutes late, and it was scheduled to go. It wasn't scheduled for very long anyway, less than an hour. I don't think he stayed half of that time. So it's like I can't really blame him, but it just wasn't organized very well, and it's fine when it's not organized very well, but when that not on organization causes somebody getting hurt or freaked out, then that's not cool. And I just think it's the type of thing that it doesn't take that much. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Foundation of wherewithal to kind of set it like, okay, we need to at least have some semblance of a line start.
If it's the Atlanta Hawks, if it's Hawks related and it says Wilkins anywhere on it, do not underestimate how many people will turn up.
Yeah.
It's Dominique Wilkins, man. It's not like the Falcons. You could argue over who the top Falcon is. Braves, most people now would say Chipper, but there is an argument to be made. The Atlanta Hawks, no, there is one answer, and there will probably always be one answer.
And I think one of the reasons why that doesn't happen is, if we set up a time period and we set up a line, then when people get into a line, they assume that that's a guarantee. And even WWE stuff, you say you can get this line if you want to. It doesn't guarantee you a dad blame thing, but we're going to try the best that we can.
It guarantees there'll be a line for you to stand in,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Guarantees that there's a line and you're in it.
You're in it. That's it. We're done.
After that, we'll, it's enter at your own risk.
And answered.
Yeah, but no, it was a good idea and a type of event that maybe they'll do more often, because there were some cool people there. And another I think might have helped was have the sessions spaced out a little bit more, because one of the guys that I thought might be there, just because what he's doing with the organization now, it turns out he was, but you couldn't get to where everybody was. But Grant Hill.
G. Hill, baby, yes.
Grant Hill was there. He was on another level at another time, but I knew that if you go and you try to do that and this, it's not going to happen. So like, I decided to, because like Grant Hill and Kevin Willis were down on another level at the early session. I'm foregoing that, and I'm going to go post up at the place I'm supposed to be for this time period, and it still didn't work. But that's part of how that goes too. The other thing that sucked about the time session that this meet and greet was going on was you had the Dominique Wilkins thing going on up here, and down on the lower level at the haircutting place was Killer Mike.
Yeah, man.
And I thought, okay, well, the Dominique Wilkins thing didn't work out. I'm going to bust out of this joint and go down there and try to get. Well, by that time that line was cut off. So it's kind of like, well, man, but that's part of going to stuff like that. But you go in and seeing how this was set up and how it was run, and people that complain about access and any of that stuff, like you should branch out and go to some other stuff, and you'll really see how good. Good. Think you're so good.
You think you're so good.
You'll long for an experience like that.
Yeah, man. Like you talk about, man, them making those guys available as often as they do is pretty cool. They don't have to do it. Believe me, they don't have to do it.
Heck yeah.
But now I mentioned Mookie earlier, man. It's interesting. I've been doing a lot of contemplating on Hawks rosters and stuff like that, man. I was like, man, who are your guys? And it's weird because I'm not good at positions. So, in the modern era with the positionless basketball, that sounds great. But I don't know. It's just Mookie. It's where Mookie and Doc are just at the point guard position alone. It would be hard for me to pick, because with Doc, it's just my little kid thing.
Yeah.
And with Mookie, it was having been grown up a little bit. He was a bad sucker, man.
Yeah.
But that whole team, we talked earlier, man, about the Bulls era, especially the second half of the Jordan era. Man, the Hawks in that era were really, really good. It's just that you're not gonna beat those guys.
Mookie, Augman, and Willis all at the same time. It's like, man,
the team that blew my doors off, man, were Mookie and Steve Smith Dikembe was like Defensive Player of the Year.
This
when Leitner was in town, and Leitner
Yeah.
is a very funny thing to me because Christian Leitner there's an interesting fraternity among basketball fans with Christian Leitner. There are those of us that live in towns that he played, and there's everybody else.
Yeah.
And in the post ESPN documentary, that's changed a lot because a lot of people that had a lot of crap to talk about him then watched that documentary and like, he's not that bad of a guy. And it's not that him playing in your town convinced you he wasn't a bad guy, but you loved him as a player. It's he really was very, very good. He wasn't the star on that show. He really, the star of the show was. It really depends on who you ask, doesn't it? Because I thought that Steve Smith was easily the most. Steve Smith is very underrated. I love that guy. I thought he was so awesome. But the most talented dude was Mookie. Mookie really was a spectacular basketball player. And anybody in New Jersey, anybody that saw him, they know. But, man, those teams were – and then, bench guys like – and this was immediately after the second wave Bulls. Kukoc wound up in town. And Tony's another one a lot like Leitner, unless you're a Chicago guy, because apparently – oh, Michael didn't like him, so I don't like him either. But most people I know that are super Bulls fans are like, nah, Kukoc was better than people think. But that really is kind of the case for especially that second crew. The first crew, people know. You had Michael and you had Scotty. You had BJ, you had Paxson, you had Bill Cartwright, who's very underrated. Bill Cartwright is one of those JaVale McGee guys where offense ain't what he did. That's not what he got paid for. And then you had Horace. And they know, people know. But, man, that second crew of Bulls, yes, man, Jordan was at the peak of his powers. But good Lord, that team was fantastic. Pretty much top to bottom.
Yeah.
Awesome teams, man. Those guys were a lot of fun. They played much more team-oriented basketball than I think people remember. I think people mistake sometimes, well, everything Kobe did, he just got it from Michael. And there's a lot of truth to that. But as far as the way the team ran, and also – the Michael that Kobe was emulating is not the Michael that ever won anything. The Michael that won everything was a maestro. And I'm not a Jordan guy, but I think that his overall game is very underrated sometimes. And that second crew, those guys were great, man. I love those guys. They were real cool. I'm mad at them because we were good enough to This stinks. It's like Larry in Boston. The Mike Fratello Hawks were incredible. We just weren't incredible enough to beat those guys. Like, dadgummit, there's always someone, man.
Heck yeah. For a season that we don't have much to look forward to, going to stuff like that, it's like, oh man, I've got to go check this out.
Man, the Hawks, I'm just heartbroken over the Hawks. And I've already mentioned this on here before, but I really don't like Trae Young. I hope that Trae does well enough for us to win. I am hoping that he will get Manziel out of town real quick, because if we're like, if you're drafting your point guard for the future, I really don't, I don't think there really is such a thing anymore where you get this guy and he gets 10 years. That's not going to happen. I think that Young will probably be out of Atlanta in 3 years at the most, just because I don't think it's going to work. He's going to be the next Steph Curry. We're going to be waiting a lot longer for the next Steph Curry. Next Steph Curry is like next Barry Sanders. Have you seen that guy yet? And people don't even talk about it. People don't even talk about the next Barry Sanders because there will never be one. Curry's a one-off. The guy's as much as people talk about him, he's even better than people say. And even him being better than people say, I still don't think he's the most important guy on that team. And neither is Durant. The most important guy on that team is Klay Thompson. And if we just get Klay out of there, maybe it'll fall apart. And I shouldn't say it that way because I love the Warriors myself. I understand. People get up and say, oh, they're like the Patriots. No, this Patriots crap's been going on for 20 years. I hate them, but I shouldn't, because I don't even watch pro football. But the fortunate thing for me with pro basketball is there's really nobody I don't like. But I watched the Warriors and the Jazz, and that was an incredibly entertaining game. But I thought it was a little disheartening too. And it's great, leave it to the internet. Oh man, you got a team with Curry and Durant and Thompson and Boogie, who didn't even play. And you need Jonas Jerebko to hit the game winner? No, you have Jonas Jerebko to hit the game winner. In a game that Utah had 81 points in the first half and shot, dude, as a team, I think they shot 70%. They shot over 50% from three as a team at home and still lost by a point.
That's gonna stink.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's an exciting and entertaining game. But how unbelievably disheartening if you actually wanted the Warriors to not win. Oh my God, it's like these guys really are they're them boys. They really are them boys.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And the same thing, this one I can take a little more happiness with. I just said there's nobody I don't like. And I don't dislike Philly. I just do not like the obsession with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Let Embiid play 70 games, and then you can talk about, who's the best big man in basketball? Best big man, best big man. And I'm assuming that when they say big man, they mean legitimate number 5. Because if by big man you mean anybody over 6'10", you're out of your mind if you think anyone's better than Anthony Davis. You're crazy. You're just crazy. But AD's not like a center. He's more power forward. So okay, that's cool. If that's how we're distinguishing that, no problem. But the two huge, I watched a lot of basketball, man, because I've been waiting for this, and God, it was so exciting. I get so keyed up for it, and I look so forward to it, and then it happens, and it's even better than I thought it would be. It makes me so happy because God knows Jared can back me up, or Jared can tell you guys, and you've probably seen it. Every passing year, professional football's never really been my thing. The further we get, I watch less college football now than I ever have. And basically, Tech was off yesterday, so I really didn't watch much of anything. I watched Iowa, and they played really well, and that was cool. But it just doesn't do it for me, man. I'm much more into Major League Soccer. I'm much more into the English Premier League. But above all, basketball. I just love it so much, man. And it's very cool because it was like, in a lot of ways, it was the genesis of me liking sports to begin with. So it's fun to come on home and enjoy basketball. But between we mentioned the Jazz and the Warriors, which was unbelievable. And I've seen the Lakers play twice, and that was I was telling Jared, man, especially in the Houston game yesterday. And Houston played well. Houston played real well. They won. I mean, they obviously played well. Harden did the Harden thing where, I mean, they were freaking out on the broadcast. But how are you going to commit these stupid fouls against James Harden? I mean, the guy averages about 17 free throws a game, doesn't he? I appreciate that you can pick on, man, Kyle Kuzma's got his hands all over. No, Kyle Kuzma stuck his hand out to mark the guy. And freaking genius that Harden is goes up for a shot and hits his arm on the way up because that's a foul. If you're going to leave your arm hanging out there and I hit it, hey, you fouled me.
Yeah.
He's James Harden. That's a very smart play on his behalf. You can trash Kuzma if you want to, but I'm giving Harden credit for that. Anyway, the Rockets played very well because they're the Rockets, and that's just what they do. But love LeBron as I do. The Lakers ain't better without him. Of course not. But they are fascinating when he takes his time out. I love it. Boy, they're fun to watch. But anyway, sorry, the main point I was supposed to make is that Utah and Golden State was incredible. Boston and Toronto was really, really good. But opening night, Boston, Philly. Along the same lines, if you play that well as the Utah Jazz and don't win, Embiid had a very good game. Ben Simmons had a nice game. Ben Simmons had, it wasn't a superstar, but it was real good, rock solid. It's only not overwhelming because it's just what you expect from triple-double. I mean, he was great. So your two guys show up and play great. On the other side, Boston's main man Kyrie had a really bad game. And then one of their nice weapons, for Pete's sake, 20, the kid who broke his leg last year. I'm sorry, it'll come back to me in a second. He comes back, he put in 10, he did okay, nothing great. Gordon Hayward did great, I mean, he did fine, but nothing spectacular. And Boston marched them off the floor. And it's like, okay, so Boston's guys don't show up, your guys do, and you get blown away. Ooh, that's pretty disheartening too. And I'm okay with it because I got tired of hearing about Philly in the offseason because it was only about who Simmons was dating. I'm so tired of that junk. I'm so tired of celebrity couples and, well, hey, if we put Pete Davidson on Weekend Update, he can talk about Ariana. Well, not anymore. And it's the same thing. Hey, man. I mean, they were going to put Philly on all the time anyway, but how's the relationship going there, Ben? What's it like being the new Kardashian? And they're not going out anymore either, so stop it. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy that Boston played as well as they did, just because as much as I despise Boston sports, there's that one green little shamrock of love. I really do like the Celtics, which is ridiculous because I love the Lakers too. But hey, man, I cut my teeth on that, and also I live in Atlanta. I don't have to pick. It's fine.
Yep. It's okay for me.
Hey, man, it's all good. I'd like that with BYU and Utah. It's one of my favorite college football rivalries because I live in Utah. I don't have to pick one. It's cool.
I like being indifferent.
It is my that's my favorite way to watch sports. I tell Jared all the time, man. My boys, I love them and I keep up with them on the phone, but I do not sit and watch them live anymore because I care too much. And that sounds ridiculous. You're supposed to care. Yeah, you are, but you can care too much, and then you're just a prick who's unhappy. Whereas it's a lot better for me if I know the result and then I can watch it and appreciate the game. Basketball I can watch in real time. Baseball I can typically do that with too. It doesn't bother me. But I am happy to say the Red Sox won the ALCS, which is great because it means I can just focus on basketball because I do not watch the Red Sox.
Tell me what happens when it's over.
I don't watch the Red Sox. That's just not my thing. And fortunately, also, I'm glad that it sounds stupid, but I'm glad Milwaukee didn't go because I would be very, very tempted to watch Milwaukee try to win the World Series because that's just neat that they didn't get hot at the right time. It's just, oh man, Milwaukee out of nowhere turned it out. It was not out of nowhere. They started last offseason. They made some really, really good acquisitions and then turned them into on-field success. Take that, Cubs. And I like that. I think that's real cool, man. But nah, it's cool. We can have, hopefully we'll get a Game 7 and it'll be Kershaw and David Price and the guys that we most like to kill for not showing up in the postseason. One of them's got to win. But the thing is, like we've talked about, with that Kershaw crap is a misnomer. He is a lot better than people think. He got rocked against the Cubs, and that's where we want the story to end. So we pretend that's where the story ended. It's like the way people talk about that fourth down with Pete Carroll throwing the ball against the Patriots. People act like that they fired him the next day, and they still try to pretend like that's it. That's all Pete Carroll ever did. And it's like, all right, man, if you say so. Because I remember Nick Saban getting marched off the field by Louisiana Lafayette, but that wasn't the end of him, was it?
Yeah.
It was for some of us. Anyway, man. I guess the short version of that long, long story is I'm so happy that basketball's back. I'm ill at myself because I forgot to tape the game tonight, but I ain't taking a night off. It's cool. I'll play 2K instead.
Get the gist of it.
Oh, man, it's so cool. I'm loving it, man. And it stinks to not be excited about the Hawks, but the Hawks are still loaded. They've got guys that I love. It's just that
that was kind of the surprise to me of going to the thing, because when the email went out, it said current and former players, and they totally overlooked the whole current thing. Because you think, well, that could mean Jeremy Lin, and there's going to be a huge, population of people that were expecting him to be there. He wasn't. Vince Carter. You think like this could possibly be, and that would be a way to disperse some of that crowd where it's not all in one area, and you chose not to do that. I don't understand why.
When was this?
This was yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they're in town today. I don't know. I don't know.
They may have still been flying.
If they were in Cleveland, then it makes sense. But I honestly don't know. I know who we played today, and I know they won, and that's awesome. But I have no idea whether it was to or fro.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that they've got guys like Bazemore. I absolutely love that guys.
That might have been part of it. It was like a plane got delayed or something like that. But surely to God, they wouldn't have them come straight from to something like that. But and maybe the plan was to have it later in the day. But
could be.
You just have to kind of get stuff in when you can fit it in.
Get it in there. But man, like current Hawks, Baze, Torian Prince, who is incredible. If Torian Prince. There's about 6 teams you can put him on and be a star. And he's a star here. It's just that I know we don't get on TV. And that's the upside. I know Dallas is coming to town, and so we're going to have did the Hawks make a mistake? Ho, ho. I was telling Jared, my biggest complaint about that is if we wanted Luka, we would have taken him. We didn't want Luka, and that's okay. My thing that I wanted them to do, because Luka Doncic, awesome. If you want him, great. But if you don't, and I'm very happy. I told the man, I will tell you guys now, I'm very happy that I documented this the day before the draft, that what I wanted him to do was, if you're going to do it, trade with Dallas, because Dallas clearly, with the Dirk legacy, with the European fan base, no problem. You knew they wanted him bad. So if you know they want him so bad, man, trade 3 for 5 and, get their first round pick for next year. And then that's exactly what we did. The problem is we then picked Trae Young with the 5 pick, and the guy that I would have taken was Mo Bamba, primarily because, like we said, we're going to be bad no matter what. Trae Young is all offense all the time. On a bad team, who cares? But if you have a front court of Pierce and Collins and Bamba, at least you're hard to score on. So that's cool. I that's what I wish they would have done. And then the other thing that I'm really mad about is that our first round, the kid from Maryland I know nothing about. And Spillman, the kid from Villanova, I love because I like all the Villanova kids, which leads me into the guy that I wanted in the second round was Brunson, the point guard from Villanova, who Dallas drafted. So Dallas just they got the pick that we wanted, and they got the guy that I wanted, and I'm like, you guys suck. I hate you, Mark Cuban. But it's cool, and at least that game's on TV, and maybe some people that tune in to see those dudes will get to see Prince and Collins, because Collins is a star, buddy. He is. Man, that guy, they're good. It's just, it's messed up. That league is shocking. I mean, it's the NBA, so you know how good they are. But my God, the worst among the worst. Like I watched Phoenix on opening night, and those guys they're bad. First, DeAndre Ayton looks like he's been in the pros for 10 years. He just looks so comfortable. It was awesome. But those guys, it's just a blast. It's my favorite sport. I love it. It's so cool.
Heck yeah, man.
Basketball is my favorite sport. That's my cover song. My Curtis Blow cover song.
These are the breaks.
Yeah.
Man, that's what's up.
Take it easy, y'all.
All right.